It ends 13-8 for Xset on their map pick, though, so everything is good. But Sapphire, the caster, is pointing out something very important: the war of information gathering, the war of map control, and Xset how much freedom they really had.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slow start for Xset, but as soon as they got into that second half, Panday's utility in the middle, Misfits never breaking that alarm bot, so it really gave Xset the ability to just stack on the extremities, stack on the sites, and they had just so much control to be able to do what they want, get really quick rotates, and Misfits just wasn't able to gain a lot of ground.
I mean, we talk about the way that the initiators kind of open things up, and on the one side you had an initiator who was top performing in the Sova role in Bob, ends up finishing 18-13, 261 ACS with 3 first bloods to boot. A really strong performance from Bob, a player that we praised coming into this one for their flexibility and their ability to adapt to any situation necessary, and you can see that play out on the scoreboard there. The interesting thing is, even though Edith was really striking first in a lot of the exchanges, coming up out with quite a few first bloods in the series, 7 in total, and a nice performance as well, 20-15, it wasn't enough because Misfits couldn't seem to capitalize on the early body advantage that we've seen from other teams typically getting that early start in the round. And then obviously the post plan is proving to be a bit of a problem as well. What we've seen from both of these teams, at least looking at their first series, is they were struggling even to get any kind of map control and get that spike planted. Well, here Xset's able to get it down and hold it off as well.
Yeah, I mean, there were some really interesting looks for Misfits. There were some pretty cool, set plays that we saw. Carly was just everywhere with that Odin. But, on the side of Xset, Katsumi, we saw a few, whiffs there, I think getting out-dueled by a judge, which was a little silly at the start. But then she found her confidence in that second half, starting to replicate a lot of what Edith did, but had more room to work because they knew that that middle was locked down.
And Bach, just revisiting the duelist v duelist, Edith versus Katsumi, do you feel like Edith had a stronger half? And then what happened in the second half? Because Katsumi ended up getting that collide at the end. So although she whips the judge battle, it was fine at the end.
Yeah, also Katsumi starting out 7-11, finishing 17-18. The numbers definitely turned around in the second half. We saw a cool-off performance coming in from Edith as the halves switched over. Sometimes certain duelists just feel way more comfortable on the defense. Sometimes they feel better on the attack. Really depends. We've seen players at high levels of play who strangely feel more comfortable as Jet on defense, when in traditional terms, it should be an attacking style agent. In this case, it does feel like Katsumi got the better of Edith. Even if they lost the exchanges, it didn't matter. The team was winning rounds. Because like we said, first bloods not really translating to round win percentages. A large part of that was just map control in general. It felt like Xset had more of it, and that's why they end up coming away with the victory here in map number 1.
I know that Katsumi and Edith had their impacts, but Sapphire, the initiators too, especially when it comes to KO.
Yeah, there was some, I think Wyatt said that might have been one of the all-time flashes for a KO. I think it flashed 5 people. I know that was more of a throwaway round than anything. But both of the KOs getting a lot of value for their utility, pair that with the Sova darts, tagging a lot of people, util-wise, those initiators added significant value.
Well, we'll see if that value will translate to Split, which is Misfits' choice. But both of these teams, Bach, don't have the greatest of records on this map. So what's the game plan here for Misfits?
It's very interesting that this map even makes it through. I'm not really sure what the thinking was. I think we had touched upon it in the pre-match just for the first map. When we saw the map pool come out, it was like, okay, well, this is clearly we had a plan coming into today. Maybe we didn't hit our game plan the first time we played it. Maybe we fell off tracks. We can do better here. Let's find a way to do what we prepared to do when we came into the day. But I do look at the performances that both teams had, and I think that, honestly, neither one looked very impressive, especially on their attacking side. I think both only got 3 rounds on the attacking side, which, to be fair, it is Split. It's a very defense-heavy map. But if you're going to pick the map, you better have a game plan for your attacking side, and I feel like we didn't see that from the other match that we saw them in. Definitely a little bit interesting that we end up here in general. I feel like this map could have been a burn in the early ban phase, But here we are. We're back here again, and hopefully both of these teams will bring their A game, because it felt like maybe even a B or a C when you're looking at that first opening series.
I think we've talked about it for a while now. We know that Misfits has this massive team of analysts and coaches. This is almost like a counterplay. Like, this is knowing that they see some weaknesses in Xset, and while it maybe isn't necessarily Misfits' best map, we did see them struggle against version 1 on this. Granted, everyone does. This might be them saying their analysts see something. They see weakness in Xset, and they want to try to play off of that.
And Sapphire, when you look at kind of the young players of Misfits, and as a former player yourself, do you think when you're that young, it's hard to take losses with that lack of experience? And how do you kind of bounce back? And who do you look for that? Because it feels like the players from Misfits that were those leaders are not here anymore. Yeah,
especially if you're the one that was really struggling, like, that can eat you up inside. But, Edith still, I think was on the top of the scoreboard for their team. It's like, I got mine. I think, we saw Vernina struggle that map, very unlike for her. Usually she's performing quite well. So, hopefully Edith isn't too bothered about their second half performance.
Well, I think it's fair too to point out the fact that sometimes that can create a little bit of resentment, because it's like, okay, well, I did great. Where was everybody else? Not to say that that's definitely going to happen, but I've seen it happen with teams in the past. Here's what I'm interested in, though. The agent compositions coming into this one should be a little bit different. We saw duelists coming in from Xset in the previous match, and they're not going to shy away from that one. They are going to go with the Cypher over the KJ. It's definitely completely different comps. The only thing that overlaps is the Raze. So they're following in what they've done in the past, even though it didn't produce success for either team. I am curious to see how it's going to work, because on one side, it feels like you have a Misfits roster that's definitely playing more of a controlling, slow-paced style, which is what we talked about at the top of this match, whereas Xset wants to play explosive.
And Bob, again, pulling out just another agent. I think Bob's been doing some Sky, some Viper, some Gecko on this map, and now we're gonna see the Breach here.
Yeah, I mean, we got the Breach versus the Sky, the Cypher versus the Killjoy, but at the end of the day, it's Xset on match point, and we're on the lower side of the bracket. We could see the end of the road for Misfits if they don't pick things up, but I know two casters will be picking right up right where they started, and it's Wyatt and Evil Cat.
Thank you very much. Yes, Misfits are in a tough position here, Wyatt. Down 0-1 in the series, and for the first time in a while for this squad, they're facing the possibility of elimination in the first round.
Yeah, a very tough spot. They had some good rounds on defense on Ascent, but at the end of the day, it was really their attack that fell very short. It just didn't seem like they had the ideas. They were just reverting back to these big, fast hits over and over. So I'm looking to that when the sides flip. But interestingly, they are going to be starting on defense despite picking the map. You don't see that often, but you have to imagine it's because Xset want to start on attack with this double duelist. They have the Raze and the Jet to go super fast and the Breach to set them up.
And you see this play already blooming in mid. Two players set up to double dive this space. You have the Breach utility, you have the Omen utility, so many layers to set them up. But the initial idea, actually to contact, take things slowly. The Viper Orb will bloom, and Xset will wait for their opportunity to find space, but mid is very lightly defended, but that's not the target. Instead, it's splitting back towards A, taking space in vents, and the movement for Bunnybee is unreal. Diving their way in, pressuring onto Slandy, and the right clicks connect for everything, while Panday from the other side comes up with a lurk, and the nade is there to punish as well. Misfits already locked out of this A site, and this double duelist comp already finding value, but flashes are back in for Slandy, and it might just be another mid-round call. Are they pivoting back to B? Are they ending towards A? Decision has been made, but Harley's still in a position to shine. 2 shots, but Cat are down. She needs more, though. Justina, 1 versus 1. Rise has time. And the spike in her hands, a safe position to plant. Where does Xena look? Where does she check in this one? Turret up to cover, knows that her opponent is tucked in the corner of this A site, and her weapon stronger at this range, but a dink from Rise already, jumping across. Damage done. Where has Rise gone? Wraps back around, and Nina is patient, holds the corner. Turret for some damage. The next fight just around the corner, and it's Rise getting the better of it. Xset start with the pistol.
And you're just hoping that Vernita can take that one down, step it up from the first map. A bit of a rough one for her, such a talented player. And man, Xset almost overcooked that one. They had heaven control so early, they were drawing those rotates and they were thinking about actually pivoting back to B, and then two of their players were just kind of stood around in ropes. They didn't know what to do, and they made it really close unintentionally, just giving those Misfits players opportunities to actually get good positions on A. But in the end, Rise, the 1v1, just able to close things out.
Like to see these lurk cages being defaulted for Panda. I think her lurks will continue to be very impactful throughout this half. She was fantastic in map number 1 for this team, particularly when they were on that attacking side.
Look at this crossfire setup from Misfits. Not uncommon on the eco, of course, to stack a site, and they gambled the right one. Xset silently wandering into a trap. Gonna get the first pick on Slandy though, and now these 3 players in sight, can they do significant damage? Edith, the only one remaining. Armor's depleted, 2 picks gotten. Carly honestly with an opportunity maybe to clean up one of these weak players and inflict even more damage.
I mean, this round just starts as scenes out of the Revolutionary War. Both sides walk forward, wait until they can see the whites of the eyes and fire on the site. And Carly won't be able to make the solo mission happen, so it's weird, but it's a round for Xset.
Yeah, they managed to take it down, but not without a decent amount of economic damage actually being done to their side. Carrying over a couple of the Bulldogs into this one. But you can see Katsumi maybe just sticking with that Ghost. We'll have to see what they end up purchasing. On the opposite side, though, Misfits, they're going to buy up fully. And it was on that Ascent second half on the last map where they actually got bonused by Xset. That's where things spiraled out of control. We'll see if they can recover here.
Different wall this time for Carly. Previously, the anchor in mid, this time playing close in main. Could be punished a little bit here, but again, Xset, so many of these rounds, it's just contact plays.
The cage is going to drop, and Carly caught immediately. A bad start for Misfits. Heaven control taken, and Slandy able to get nothing.
Oh, this is already looking tough for Misfits. Damage so much done off of those paint shells towards spawn. And Bunny Bee, something more to work with as well. Will push them straight into the judge of Katsumi. And Misfits should just save here, but look at where Bob is. She's wrapped her way all the way back around and is ready to punish onto these weapons. 2 flashes available to help fight. Misfits will not be allowed any scrap of a chance to keep these guns unless Edith can go huge. She'll find a couple. Just wants to keep the hopes alive, but it should not happen. Xset splitting in, pinching from 2 sides. Panday will swing, and the trade is there. No guns maintained, and a bonus round taken for Xset.
I love that call from Xset, chasing down those remaining Misfits players. They had so much time to do it, that early save having to be called. And again, this map begins how the last one finished. Getting bonus straight away on split defense. Immediately going down 3-0, likely to be 4-0 on their map pick as well.
And Xset is just subverting expectations with the double dive comp. They're not going for fast gambits with a breach stun. They're just walking every round and winning in these brawls off the contact play.
Misfits trying to do something aggressive there. I'm not sure if the call was late on that flash. Looked like a bit of a miscoordination there from Slandy and Edith trying to make something happen in A main. And now Xset just gonna slow walk up into heaven. They've left Rise to try and control mid, but unaware of this B push. The Misfits players are just all over the map in really unusual positions. See if they can get any cheeky kills off of it. Doesn't seem likely though.
Yeah, this round is so weird. They're continuing to try and flip the map here. As Slandy is actually wrapped back to try and flank. Now Xset changed their mind and go back towards A, but Rise was in sewers the whole time. She'll get dogged out, and Misfits is going to try and pressure, but Bunny Bee is in on the dive, and the trade is there from Katsumi. Another super strange mid-round for Xset.
Yeah, that was that was just a bizarre round, but they rein things back to normalcy, able to clean that one up. And now, finally, a full buy from Misfits. We've only seen one so far. Edith, at the very least, has been getting the odd kill here and there in previous rounds, so they're going to be able to carry a showstopper into this one. Maybe if they fight for an orb, Slandy could pick up the Seekers as well.
Same setup to take space towards A main. Misfits this time won't contest. Looks like they wanted to find some kind of a trap play towards mid, but no one's going to be testing that one.
That dog gets a lot of info from Slandy. Misfits just playing a very passive setup here towards the A side with Carly all the way back, just jiggle peeking, seeing if anyone is crossing. And now Xset, they're going to leave Panday, their lurker, the Cypher, over on A, and get into this 1-3-1, try and work up mid here. See what they can find, poke and prod, and then pick a site to hit from there.
It looks like an attempt for a late round B split here. Stun, satchel up, Edith is down. Bunny B looking for more on this one. Paranoia will miss, but the shot is still there. That was absurd out of Bunny B. You look at this roster, you can highlight Bob, you can highlight Katsumi, but Bunny B has always been there as a star for this team. And Xset is in such a strong post-plant position now. Katsumi towards heaven falls, though, and there's no trade available. This is actually fallen down to a 2 versus 3, and there are Seekers in for Misfits. They have information on where every player is in this post-plant, but can they find the kills? Can they create an opportunity to win this round? Flash, the backlines is just a fake, not committed to. And Carly, she takes down Rise. Now a crossfire, Bob and Panday. Panday the one to close this out in the late round. But now it is just her. 1 versus 2. Viper orb up. It has to be the spam onto this spike. Only 3 bullets. Sheriff comes out, but she can stop Carly. The bullets going wide and the stick coming through. Misfits, a miracle to find their first.
Yeah, such a well-played 2v3, winning out the duels. Perhaps a bit overconfident. Bob from Xset taking that fight early. Panday not actually really able to help from B main. Misfits capitalize on a small mistake there. And you just have to highlight Bunny B again. I mean, how on earth did they find that second kill?
It's absurd.
I don't understand how the bullets even registered. But, you know, you'll take that. Bunny B just ever prolific on the Rays. Definitely one of the best in the Game Changer scene.
Yeah, but in that round also, it's Katsumi at the end overheating a little bit. Xset, they're confident, but I think they need to take it a step back. Because Misfits is still the squad. They will take those opportunities if you give them to them.
Yeah, now Misfits, they're going to commit that early Viper's Pit to lock down mid. Huge stack over to A. You can see so much utility set up there. And they've actually got the alarm bot in heaven as they're going to set that crossfire in sight. So we'll see if Panday walks into that. But in the meantime, it's Xset taking B control. Just spread across the map.
The Viper's Pit in mid means that this likely has to be a late hit onto one of these sites. You don't have a Skydog or a Sova drone or anything to clear that one out cleanly. And over towards ramp, the lurker actually falls. Looks like Slandy might have just caught in a good timing, and that really limits the options here for Xset.
Yeah, that's got to give the info as well, right? They pick up the Cypher on A. You know that this B hit is coming, and Xset know that they know it's coming, so they pounce. I know, the movement in from Bunny B, but
30
Edith,
seconds left.
pretty strong on the Rays themselves. Gonna get that kill. Bob trying to work up mid, find a cheeky pick onto this Viper, not gonna end up working out, and Edith is gonna shut it down at the very end. Xset's hand force, and those defensive anchors doing exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah, the first few rounds, the contact plays, the mid rounds were working really well for Xset, but this is where I want to see the other side of this composition. The stun into double satchel plus jet dashing into your face. What the double dive comp absolutely succeeds at, what we've seen from so many teams implementing it at Lock-In and now in the international leagues as well. This should be a round where Katsumi and Bunny B get something done, because they're set up with a stun and both these dive players posted towards A main.
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna see a fast play into heaven here. These dogs from Slandy have been getting valuable information over towards A though. And, you know, oftentimes with this Xset composition, you won't see the sky. You'll typically see the breach because of that Or sorry, yeah, you'll typically see the breach, sorry, because you get that synergy with the Astra and the Rays, right? But we've seen good value from the Sky, so far, honestly, I'm not too mad at it, but I do still want to see some more synergies come into the fold here with that Astra Rays duo.
Nina in a crossfire with her own little friend there, thanks to the turret. Just a Spectre in this position, but getting 1-for-1 might honestly be enough with Slandy on the other side ready to flash an aid. Xset again, it's really just an emphasis on these slower rounds. Contacting into the smoke, spam coming back through, but no kill to be found. Nina wants to take a timing going deeper, but talk of opportunity. Rise might have just found one. She's lurked all the way through B Heaven. And there's a defender coming to check on this one, but is the patrol in time? Absolutely. KDO hops up and takes down onto Rise. Left. And again, Xset have let this clock drain away, and what option do they have left but to execute into this A site? They've killed Nina, but do they know about Slandy? A flash-ready first kill onto Pandey. She'll take her time. She'll wait for her teammate to be able to swing. Down goes Bob. Spike on the floor, and 10 seconds on the clock. Bunny is still on the other side of the map, and Edith is now just ready to hold. Katsumi has absolutely no shot in hell to win this round. The timer will tick down, and Misfits will continue their momentum.
Yeah, Misfits finally starting to recover here. There's going to be this one rifle save from Katsumi into the next round, but the economy finally broken for Xset after what was such a strong start. 4 rounds in a row. Misfits so impressive to bring it back to this point, to actually be able to tie things up, possibly make it 4-4. Xset on these rounds always going for these unorthodox deep flanks. Rise trying to push into spawn is something we saw in Ascent too, but KDO has been such a great rifler for Misfits, so consistent in this series, finding that first crucial pick.
Yeah, and it's so weird to me too, because they're trying to go for these late round flanks and find a gap, but there's not really any pressure on the other side. After that initial Skydog, there was like no noise made, no presence shown by Xset, so they're just like, okay, we'll re-clear this, we'll find a kill, and it's the same story here. Nina holds the line, Cat contacts in, and I mean, that's a easy one to side with the operator on.
Yeah, Nina falling back quickly with the op in hands. Shades of her chamber days in last year's meta. An agent she was just so consistent on. Now picking up the Killjoy in the current meta. Xset just gonna slow things down. Bulldog for Bob, but weaponry is not particularly great. They're just holding these angles, hoping that one of these Misfits players is just going to walk into it and give an opening, but it's going to be Rise actually TPing into the A site, and they end up getting really nice control here, so it looks like they're going to be able to get the plant down unless Misfits hit the gas on this tap.
30 seconds left.
Go for the fast retake, or do they bide their time? Dog through from Slandy. Does that see Panda? Not sure if that angle has been fully cleared out, but with a flash, someone's watching. Slandy running and gunning, and the site anchors are stuck together close. Bunny beat down, it's just the 2 left alive, Rise and Bob, and they're not long for this one. Misfits, a flawless retake for their 4th.
Yeah, well done on that retake from Misfits. Playing things a bit patient. They had an opportunity where they could have gone fast while the tap was coming in, but they didn't feel prepared for it, so they just slowed it down, waited for Slandy to get a bit of info off the dog, and then re-push in off that information. I like that decision. They didn't feel comfortable and they didn't rush things, and that allows them to actually bring 5 saved weapons into this round. No players going down, and now things have just pure flipped from the first 4. Xset 4 in a row, now Misfits 4 in a row, and it's their economy that's starting to get pretty strong.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of these early nades towards B, but again, Xset haven't really been going for any fast plays, so that won't find a punish, but this round a bit quicker. Bunny in with the judge, and down goes Carly. Nina, well-placed utility to take her off the Nano Swarm, but Cat is on the other side too. It's not really a coordinated effort of both these duelists swinging together. Instead, it's a ping pong. One side, you look at the Rays. Oh, here comes the Jet to kill you from main. And up from high, it's Rise.
Down,
takes
B.
down Edith. And now this site is fully within the control of Xset. It comes to a retake.
I mean, this round is just as chaotic as possible, but the crucial kill so far really coming from Katsumi, just taking down the Opera Nina on site, dashing in, making that space for the rest of her teammates, drawing the ire of those Misfits players so Rise could work through Heaven. Listen, we've seen a 2 versus 3 retake on this site already. Xset got antsy on that last one. They fought fights they shouldn't have. We'll see if that's going to be the detriment here, but no, Katsumi finds a good angle. Panday on that late lurk from Heaven. They're not going to make the same mistakes they did last time, closing things out. Xset's first round after 4 losses in a row.
Yeah, I'm getting shades of one of the first times that we saw this kind of double dive composition making a return with Loud. When they played Energy at lock-in, Energy's read was that, okay, we're playing against this double dive that doesn't have a huge amount of utility to support it, so we're going to set up an AWP on our anchor player towards B. And Misfits has been doing the same thing. Thus far, that hasn't been punished because of these really slow defaults for Xset, but now that Misfits is now that Xset is picking up the pace on these rounds and going for the fast dive, I think it's going to be really tough to get value out of that operator. I mean, there's a chance you just get overrun repeatedly like we just saw in that round. Nina's not on chamber anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And Misfits are opting to take this timeout here. Again, I feel like this is just so similar to Ascent in that Misfits, they're starting on, in theory, the better side of the map. The side where you can rack up all the rounds and you dread switching to attack. And here are Xset, already at 5, already at an amount that you feel comfortable with. Anything more on top of that is just icing on the cake at this point. And Misfits seriously feeling the heat. They've got to get to, I mean, you would hope 7 to carry it into this attack side.
What is Katsumi's idea with this attacking-sided operator that she picked up in the previous round? Normally with this comp, being able to be fast together to trade with that double dive is really valuable. We've seen it thus far. The operator kind of forces you to play slow.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting decision. We'll see if any of those Misfits players take a peek. They shouldn't, and the game is given up right away. An opportunity for Katsumi, certainly not an easy one. The jump peeking Viper there, Carly on B, possibly giving away an opening pick, but doesn't. And now what do you do if you're Misfits? Or Xset rather, right? Because Misfits are just going to play passively, and so much of this is going to be on Bunny B. And now with Bunny B down, how are they actually going to crack open either site with this bomb?
Yeah, it's going to be so difficult to do so. Cat is trying to walk into vents with an operator, but there's someone in the close corner. It's too unwieldy to close those angles. It just feels like such a strange decision for me from Xset to continue to play this slow style, to pick up the operator. It feels like there's so much more value they could get out of this composition.
Yeah, truly an outrageous risk to take. If Cat got that first pick, we'd be weaving a totally different tale. Right, it's optimal. Perfect play. I mean, if they get that first pick and then hit B straight off the back of it, they're geniuses. But it's just such a massive risk to take and does not synergize with the game plan at all.
10 seconds. They're running out of time. Panda's lurked around. How is this functioning for Xset? Misfits has given them an opportunity. 7 seconds to plant the spike. Rise. There's no one who can deny her. So we fall to a 3 versus 3 retake. This round should have been wraps. Curtains. Shut it down. But now a chance for either side to close this one out. They probably have to invest a lockdown here. But look at Bob. She's already so far up, ready to fight, reading into this positioning. Vernina goes down. There is a trade there, but that's the ultimate taken away from you. And now the time is completely ran out unless KDO can just do something absurd. 1 kill, no trade yet. The sky is late to swing from Spawn. A 1 versus 1 for Rise. She wins it. These rounds are ridiculous.
I mean, the fake flash worked too. Rise fell for the bait, but the snap back onto Slandy swinging was so crisp. Oh my god, what a finish to the round. I felt like KDO was going to win that. KD's been so good with the rifling. But my god, and now Misfits just absolutely punished for the mistake of letting Panday get way too much ground to work with. 6 rounds on the board for Xset. And now into this round as well, Mimi. The economy looking terrible for Misfits. If they lose this one, they could be down 8-4 at the half, moving into a attack side split.
This round, Bunny B is hopping on the race.
It's chaos. It's chaos, Mimi.
This is such an interesting read on the double duelist comp because it's different than anything I've seen before, and I don't know how to feel about it fully yet, but it's getting them rounds in this game, even if it is by some miraculous circumstance to pull it off. I mean, we're really seeing how good the individuals on this team are. Any one of these 5 players left in the clutch, you give it an opportunity like that, and they will win it out.
You know, the smoke gonna come down. Vernina's angle nullified. The sight hit comes through. No defenders actually on it. So this spike plant gonna come down, well, possibly with ease until that lockdown came in. Breach all trying to counter so they can actually push it. But the molly is so good from Nina to keep them at bay. Honeybee, there's that off. Showstopper popped. Oh my god, they're going absolutely crazy on these screen players. Both taken down, and it's the individual skill from Xset. It's just outrageous, carrying them through some of these situations. Misfits trying to trade things back. They've succeeded in a 2v3 already in this game.
Lurking Jet!
When Activity is on this lurking Jet. Xset just bringing out unorthodox play after unorthodox play at the tail end of this half. Misfits just don't know what the hell to do in this situation. Carly doesn't know where to look. Katsumi could be anywhere, and Xset are going to lock up a 7.
Last
Why
round
explain
before
that
the
round to me?
switch.
What have I
No, I
just
can't.
witnessed? So Bunny B buys an operator. I don't think they picked that up. I'm pretty sure that they bought that one. Fact check me on that one. But then dives into the site, entering with a shorty because they have an operator. Then goes Sword Spawn, gets a kill with the operator, recovers a showstopper, gets a second kill off of that, and the round out tumbles to that as Katsumi is lurking on Jet. I mean, Xset has some absurd ideas, but I'm kind of here for it. This is just such a crazy game of Valorant, and Misfits is struggling to find solutions for it.
They really are. This feels like a desperation play with Edith trying to make something happen in mid off the double satchel flash with the showstopper. No damage done. And I can't help but feel Misfits just struggling to control some of these extremities in this half, really allowing Xset to set up for these big sight hits with the comp that they've got, the fast double duelist plays, and it might be too little too late. This deficit is just so tough on this map in particular. Xset going back to what we've seen on so many rounds, this 1-3-1 setup. The 3 players in mid working in tandem, prodding towards ropes or heaven, trying to find an opening pick. A nice kill from KDO though, taking out that lurker, and that's going to give away the game. You know this B hit is coming.
Interesting Astrowall. Walks off towards heaven. It actually gives a gap to dive down into hell and take that space. Alone on site is Vernina, and she has absolutely no help. Blinded up, taken down. Cat will pop the knives. And Bunny B has a crossfire with her to fight towards spawn. Turn on the flash knives here. Within the shots, but eventually finds the connection as Rise is there for 2. And now it's just KDO. 1 versus 2. She's already taken down Bod and given away her position, which means Bunny B is ready on the line. The attacking raised operator is enough. 8-4 for Xset. They are dominating.
I mean, Xset are just flexing their guns on this attack side half. They're doing whatever the hell they want, and Misfits just couldn't find a response. We're just not able to control A main or B main effectively. Xset just getting so much space. Mid as well, even Panday, the lurks were so good. I mean, Xset just have the confidence flowing on max right now. And on Ascent, it was that attack half where Misfits just couldn't find a game plan, and now at a 4-round deficit, man, this looks tough.
But if they are to build back into it, it has to start here. And it starts fast. Edith missing her nade and double satcheling into heaven. They're going to dive into fence, though, and get an awkward interaction against Bunny B. They do come out the better of that, so all things consider a positive outcome. Vernina as well in mid takes down Katsumi on this lurk as the rotation is caught. But now she might be punished. Not in time. Bob not finding the shot. Nina gets a second, and now the A site is fully within the control of Misfits.
That's what I want to see from Nina, making the classic look like the headhunter. Plant coming down now from Misfits. It's not over yet. Edith, a good trade to really put a bow on things. It's just Rise alone, and What a crazy strat, honestly, from Misfits. Not one you see every day. Taking A Heaven, pushing into ropes, and then leaving their lurking Killjoy bottom mid to actually crunch the players that they expected to be rotating from B Heaven into ropes. A really unorthodox, cool pistol round from Misfits. Gonna keep them in the game.
But here's the thing, even when the game plan was falling apart, even when there was struggles for this Misfits squad on Ascent, the player that kept him in it was Edith. On the Jet, they were fantastic. And here you see it again. A lot of freedom being given to Edith to be able to take these early fights, to be set up with a flash, to go for that, honestly, ridiculous play. But since it's working out, it's giving opportunities for Misfits to build back into this game. And sometimes that's all it really takes for Xset, right? They weren't playing the craziest, like, optimal game of Valorant with a double dive comp. They were taking some individual fights. They were playing in a different way, but their individuals were playing with such confidence that it managed to work out. And talk of confidence, get 2K on the Antico. That's one to build it up for Edith.
Yeah, we spoke of Edith's role on this team on the previous map. The big shoes to fill. Oh my god, Katsumi actually somehow turning this round on its head.
Remaining.
What a shot, and Bob with the Sheriff as well. Oh, you're joking. They open it up with 2 free kills, and it's all falling apart. I mean, okay, Edith at least gonna capitalize on that one. 1v2 for the ace clutch, and it's really not out of the realm of possibility. Oh, but Katsumi shuts it all down. 4 with the Sheriff. Mimi, you've got to be joking.
That is absurd. Katsumi and Bob, be it with Cloud9 or now with Xset, when they get to the lower bracket, they get mad. These are not players who want to lose early. These are players who, when the going gets tough, they get activated, and you see it there on that eco round.
I just feel absolutely flattened for Misfits right now. That is so brutal. They're gonna try and go for a fast play now. Only pistols invested. Edith quick into heaven, trying to play off this Viper wall. Essentially shades of their pistol round strat, right? Nina left down in mid. But this time with a pistol against the rifles, she is no match for Katsumi. 4 left on the side of Misfits. Try and maneuver around heaven here. They have access to spawn, but with these classics and frenzies, they're just doomed.
And a right angle, but only actually finding 1 kill in that one. Edith trades things back, and the spike will be planted, but what tools do you have in your post plant here? 1 rifle, 2 classics. Edith has to do it all. Showstopper popped around the corner, comes Bunny, who still finds one. Despite the rocket in their face, Edith for more, still alive in this one, but cut down eventually by Bob. A 1 versus 2. Carly with the classic against 2 rifles. Can she find a miracle? Can she be gifted an opportunity? You see Bob playing slow towards spawn, denying the guns, knowing Carly might want to push for that one, and the patience pays off. Rise around the corner, takes her down, and Xset break double digits.
And it's Edith again, just
Team
clawing for anything, trying to bring things back for Misfits. Stepping up so much from the previous game against EG, where they struggled so much to find the impact. We questioned if they could fill the shoes of Fluorescent, one of the stars of NA Game Changers, who turned Misfits into this title contending team late last year. And Edith has not disappointed in this series. They've done such an excellent job just fighting every round for Misfits.
But the issue still comes back to everything else. The rounds have been there, the moments have been there, but the coordination, the game plan has not been able to compete with what Xset has shown thus far. And again, it's an early blunder. Slandy is in position to get stunned and dies to a paint shells off the rip. This was a rifle versus rifle round, and you're playing from a 4v5 10 seconds in, and Cat just makes it worse. Crisp shot with the operator, and that's Edith to fall. Probably the worst play to lose in a situation like this.
And you can't help but feel like at this point, this Misfits team is just demoralized. After losing that second round into the half, on a round like this, you can already see that things are just getting sloppier from them that we had seen on previous rounds. Just not smoking off ropes there, taking a dry peek.
Spike down.
Timings are off. It's starting to feel like their heads are just not in the game anymore.
Toxin screen down.
It really does. 5 rounds behind. A 1 versus 3, and Carly's just going to save this one. More than just keeping the rifle, I think this moment is important as just like a mini timeout. Take this opportunity. Round's over. Discuss with your team. Try and reset the nerves because, well, it's looking grim. It's not over till it hits 13. There's a chance to build back into this one. We have seen those moments, but they need to get a handle on these early rounds because they're continuing to lose players to make these blunders, and it just can't continue like that if you hope for a comeback.
Carly going to bring this lone rifle into the next round. You can see the economy is just shattered. Xset with about as good of an opportunity as they'll ever get to take this thing to match point. Misfits, we know they have the talent, they have the player quality, but they have to rally back here mentally. They have to get a game plan together on this attack side. They really need to bring some synergy together with this composition, with this Astra, with the Rays, the Sky, trying to get an opportunistic flash for Edith to push into an area where KDO is, either smoking something off, maybe giving a stun, a suck onto a position where one of those defending players might be anchored in. That's hopefully what they're discussing on this timeout, coming up with a game plan. They're going to need to, or rather, I think, a game plan that's based around effectively using this utility. It's where they've struggled on this map.
But for Xset, the vibe must be excellent right now. You play your first series against Shopify, the best NA team of last year, and you lose it. That's tough, but this is a new squad, and they have players who have been to the top before. They have players who have gotten close, have been thriving to find that opportunity with Panday, with Rise, with Bunnybee. And now down in this lower bracket, they are looking to build towards those opportunities to show that, well, Xset is a new squad, a newly put together team. They can compete with the best of them. And right now, have to see what was the solution that Misfits found.
They've got this Viper wall up on B, but it's being watched by the AWP of Katsumi. This Viper wall is good for pressuring a lurk into that site, or even a fake lurk, but it's certainly not going to happen on this round with Katsumi just locking down B main. And now Misfits are going to be rotating over towards the A site where they're going to try and make that execute happen.
High-low setup here. Cypher cam for first contact, and then Bunnybee. Try and swing off of that one. Satchel's heard. Over towards ramps. Neither will fall off of that one. Well-timed nade, but no kill to come through. It's Panday alone on this site. Finds one. Is there support? Does she even need it? A second found. Trade back through, so a 3 versus 3. But Bob from Heaven finds it, timing off the dropped smoke. And keeps her life too, trying to dance with Vernina. And she finds the better. Katsumi there in time too. Xset so willing to take these brawls.
I mean,
match point.
Again, it's the confidence on maximum. I mean, Bob is about to get locked down and is just dueling with no regard for anything else but getting headshots. It's just so much confidence from Xset. It's what you alluded to earlier. There's something about these players when they get into the lower bracket. They just play with a vengeance. All the fear is shed from their body. They are just playing like they know they're the better team, and they've showed in this series that they're the better team.
12-5. Xset are on a tear, and you can see that confidence continuing. Bunnybee satcheling in the face of Edith. A gunfight not favored for him, but finds it regardless. Misfit, what is the idea? Being revealed by the neural theft. They'll try and run back towards B. They spot Rise on this operator, but she'll just reposition, find a new angle to lock down main. As Skydog comes around the corner, they swing in front of it. Do they find that timing? And Rolling Thunder actually available too. Bob can just pop this off contact and just run into fight. Bob on her way, 2 mollies through. Blind is there, but Bunny B right on the other side. A raise ult to boot, and it's just KDO. 1 versus 3, and the force is overbearing. Rise with the classic will close.
Defenders
Xset
win.
2-0, awaken in the lower bracket and stay alive.
Xset just putting on a show of confidence. The game was chaotic at times. Frankly, it didn't even make sense, Mimi, because they were just playing like they knew they were better. I mean, at times it looked like they were just having fun. They were just doing what they wanted, imposing their will on the map, on the server. Xset coming alive in the lower bracket. It's Katsumi and Bob coming alive in the lower bracket as they have in the past. On Cloud9, the team where they were always champions in NA Game Changers, those 2 players have never not been champions in this region, showing why again, even with Katsumi on the new role. Just gonna be exciting to see where Xset can take it from this point, if they can keep it up against the further competition down the line. But just such an impressive showing from them.
Yeah, and for Misfits here, this is certainly disappointment to the expectations that they have set for themselves. Going out in the first round continues this streak. It has been almost more than half a year since they have been able to take down a signed team in Game Changers, and despite coming in with a new roster with new ideas, it was not enough this time around. But yeah, for Xset, they are looking like a force to be reckoned with in this lower bracket. But for more on their victory and to close out the day, let's send things over to the Analyst desk at Lemon Kiwi.
Thanks so much, Mimi. Fantastic job. What a series. Xset might have dropped a Shopify, but from the ashes, they rose above Misfits and send them home a clean 2-0 win. But Sapphire, Xset on that offense, it was aggressive, it was fast, it was all up in the faces of Misfits.
Yeah, you know, it started a little slow. They got those first 4 rounds. It cooled down a bit, and then just massively picked up the tempo, which we expected to see with that double duelist comp. I think it was like that 9th round there. We saw Bunny B get that double satchel into Mail with the judge frag, and then we saw Katsumi dashing in, and just from there it was just super aggression. We saw like Panday getting extra space, which they never should have been allowed to have. And Misfits just did not have any answer.
This is what we had talked about coming into this match too, was the difference in approach and the style of play that you're likely to see based on the age of compositions that both teams bring to the table. And for one side, it feels like they play much slower, maybe a little bit more methodical with their approach. That would be Misfits. They come in with this controller look where they're trying to really dictate the pace of play. But Xset said, well, that's cool and all. We're just going to do things our own way. And we're just going to kind of run it down mid almost, not necessarily in that direct direction, but they're going to hold W. They've got 2 duelists that can run it up. They've got 2 flashes from the Paranoia and from Breach. They were really geared towards pace play. They could change pace at any given moment. They have maybe a higher ceiling and capability of doing that with the composition they brought to the table.
Yeah, and look at that, 7 out of 9 post plans. A lot of those because they were just taking this extra space, pushing into defender spawn. They shouldn't have been allowed that ability, but again, Misfits was just getting picked off one by one, and the sites were left empty.
You can even see it too with the first bloods. Like that definitely plays into it.
Oh yeah. But Bach, I'd love to revisit this conversation we had at the start of the series about the stats. Thank you, stats. Edith versus Katsumi, about how Edith is filling in these shoes. What did you think about her overall performance?
Interestingly enough, Edith had a rough first half, but Edith actually started to turn things back around towards the end. Edith starts out 11-10. And then finishes 21-15. Only 2 first bloods, so definitely being the victim more than the victor in a lot of the early exchanges. But one of the things you always ask yourself is a young player going to come in and get crushed by the pressure, understanding that not only is this probably the highest level of play we've seen from Edith, but also an elimination match against a team that has a lot of experience on it, some names that you probably have seen over the past year or two looking at the game changer scene. And I think Edith delivered. The problem is the rest of the team kind of struggled to match that same scale of play. Vernina, who's been with this team for a while, finishes 6-16, a really disappointing performance from a Killjoy who should typically have a really great impact, especially on the defensive side. So this is not exactly the greatest performance from them as a team, but I guess silver lining, you know, the young fragger stepped up to the plate.
And that's great to see. Imagine her potential so many years down the road. Like, would you guys say she's like 17 or something crazy? I was nowhere near as cool as she is at that age. But someone that it was amazing, of course, is our MVP, Katsumi. After these Prime Gaming post-match highlights, I'm going to sit down with an interview for Katsumi to go over this Xset win and what the future holds for her and her team. So don't miss out.
Last player standing.
What a day it has been, but man, Xset still continue their journey through the lower bracket after a 2-0 clean win over Misfits. And for our Verizon post-match interview, I am joined by the Jet Queen, Katsumi. Da, 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 da. How are you holding up? The 2-match day is long, and having to play your elimination match right after, how you doing?
Honestly, I'm pretty hyped. I think the adrenaline is kind of pumping right now. So, I could play another one. I don't know.
Oh my God, going for more. You're crazy. It was really fun to also watch you versus Edith on Ascent, especially on the ops. Then you had to face 2 duelists in the second map. What do you think of that duelist matchup between mainly you and Edith?
I mean, I honestly was pretty impressed by Edith. I thought that, I was going to kind of own, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, she's insane.
Well, you got the dub at the end of the day, and you were pretty insane. I saw that collab on that one time. That was sick. We don't talk about the judge. That's fine. You got the highlights at the end of the day. So yeah, Complexity is your next opponent. What are your confidence levels for your team going up against them, doing that lower bracket run?
Honestly, I'm pretty excited to play Jazz, of course. It'll be really great to play her, but I'm feeling pretty confident. I mean, I think we're just, getting better every day that we go on here as a team. So, obviously we have a lot of, things to get through in order to really make the run we want. But I think we're making progress. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Could you expand upon that vibe with Jazz? Is it positive vibe? Is it you really want to be her team vibe? Like, tell me about that.
Oh, totally positive. I'm just excited to play her. I'm excited to see how she's developed as a player. I'm excited to face off. I just love that team and everyone on it. So I'm really happy to play them.
Yeah, and I mean, you've also improved and flexed so much now playing the Jet for your team. You looked incredible out there. So congrats. I know you're tired. You probably are going to play more, but I'm going to let you go relax. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for the interview, and congrats again.
Thank you so much.
All right, Desk. That was a quick and easy one. I didn't want to hold her up too much with the 2 best of 3s today. Heather, reaction. Katsumi facing her former teammate. I was making sure I didn't disturb the desk. One more time, Heather. So sorry about that. We have a system here. So I just interviewed Katsumi, and she said she was really excited to talk to you or play against Jazz. I'm excited to talk to you. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a fun moment. You know, they're both kind of in the same position where, you know, I think a lot of people looked at like, okay, Mel and Alexis like went to V1 and they went to supposedly like this top team, and people were like overlooking Xset for a bit. Hopefully not anymore after that dominant performance. But I think it's just, you know, a fun moment for these two past teammates that won so many championships together.
I love the idea of teammates playing against each other on new rosters, especially when there's good blood. When there's bad blood, it's a completely different narrative. It's like, okay, it's time for revenge. It's time to get back at your old teammate. But when it's good, it brings out like this energy level that is fun to watch as a player, as a third person in the exchange. I love being in the server so I can see the communication back and forth between the players that we don't get to see on broadcast sometimes. So you can really appreciate just how enjoyable it is for them to really like get in there. And it's like play, because ultimately it is play. Like, we are playing a game. We have to remind ourselves sometimes that like we should be having fun at the end of the day. While competition is important, I love the way that it kind of like softens up players and allows them to approach the game maybe with a little bit lighthearted nature that actually brings out better play from players because they don't feel the pressure the same way they would in other situations potentially.
Well, you know what's a better play? Our top play of the day, Buck. It's the Aim Lab flick of the day, and I'm gonna need your live reaction to this one from Claudia.
This was an incredible clutch over on the first match of the day. As we can see, the first kill comes through in the second one, and then catching this last target before they can leap away to safety over on short and get into art. It was a strong play, and there's no surprise that it's the flick of the day.
And Heather, I know you and I were like, that has to be it, right?
Oh, as soon as it happened, we're like, that's
transfer.
it. That transfer on that third kill to get the headshot, that was clean.
Well, that was clean. So were a lot of the matches today. I'd love to get a look at the bracket because we had a lot of one-sided series at the start in the quarterfinals. Heather, looking at the lower side of things, any surprises or anything sticking out to you?
Yeah, you know, I think even in this last match here, I thought we expect Misfits to put up more of a fight. I think we expected that too with EG and Shopify. I know that second map was a bit of a dominant performance from Shopify, and then I think it's certainly interesting that FaZe took the first map off Moist. They're playing that third map right now, so that's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, looking at the score of that one, too, it's very close. Apparently 6-6 or something like that coming into the half is what I'm being told. I could be wrong on that one. But looking at our upper bracket matches, the fact that we end up with V1 versus Shopify, this is what a lot of people came into today expecting. We expected to see these two teams face off against each other, and I'm excited to see what that series is going to look like because neither team has really struggled up until that point. They've made quick work of all of their competition. V1 beats FaZe. V1 also beats Complexity. On the flip side of that coin, you've got Shopify beating Xset and EG. I will say, credit to EG. I didn't think that coming into today, EG was as serious a threat as maybe they've shaped up to be. Even though they lose to Shopify 2-0, map 1 was 13-10. There was a world where they potentially could have taken that, had a few rounds gone the other direction, and it goes to a third map in this series. Would have been one of the few times we've seen Shopify Rebellion bleed. So, promising performance from the team that's now been knocked down into the lower bracket. They'll be facing off against the winner of this Moist and FaZe game. And then on the other side, obviously we have Complexity versus Xset in an elimination bracket, which is unfortunate.
And Sapphire, I'm looking at that MXM versus FaZe, and I know it's going to game 3. I don't know who I want to come out of it, though. Like, obviously, no bias. We want to see FaZe on broadcast. Would love a chance to highlight them. But also, we want to see MXM go far so that they can have a good performance to have a banner represent them eventually.
Oh yeah, no, I actually genuinely like both teams a lot. So this is always hard, you know. We don't want to do predictions against people we like. We don't want to see one go home. You know, I think it is exciting. I think if FaZe moves on, because again, this is one of the biggest organizations on this entire list that announced this roster not too long ago. We know the core of this team has been together for long time. Like, if we get FaZe on LAN someday, how interesting is that? Because these players have played in front of thousands of fans before, when you can't say the same for a number of teams in this event. So I would like to see FaZe continue that, and maybe they're not going to win this time, but maybe Series 2, Series 3, they become really competitive.
Yeah, for any of y'all's favorite teams that didn't make it to the the main event, or maybe those that fell short. There are so many more series of game changers around the corner. And speaking of which, tomorrow we have more coming up. Let's fire up what our matches, what our schedule is looking at. Of course, we got to continue our lower bracket journey, our upper bracket journey. We're going to give version 1 and friends a break. But Bach, tomorrow a lot of eliminations.
Yeah, we've got EG facing off against the winner of FaZe and Moist. That Moist Moguls roster looked maybe a little bit shaky at times throughout that first series, seeming to put up more of a fight here against FaZe Clan, who also had a rough start going down into that lower bracket after a defeat against FaZe Clan, or against version 1, excuse me. So EG is watching that match currently, trying to glean as much intel as possible. And then on the other end, we've got Complexity versus Xset. I think that Complexity started out their bracket run pretty promising. Xset obviously facing up against Shopify Rebellion, meaning that they kind of drew the short straw. So that will be a good one as well. Both teams finding 2-0 victories. Also, Xset kind of suffering a 2-0 loss, same with Complexity. So coming in with very similar storylines, losing to favorite teams, beating teams they should beat, which means that has the makings of a very close game.
Of all the teams in this bracket, Xset is by far the newest roster. So every single map that they play is more experience gained. So I think coming into the day, maybe we thought, okay, maybe they're going to have an early elimination here, but like they're gaining teamwork and experience and looking better and better each and every map. So they might be more competitive than we initially expected.
And those energy levels, you heard it from Katsumi in the interview. She's ready for another best of 3. We might as well keep the bracket rolling. But unfortunately, well, for everyone, this is the end of the day. But you can catch more Game Changers live here on the right channel. If you do the follow, you do the notifications, you're going to know exactly when we go live. 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific for the continuation of the lower bracket. And we can't wait to see you there.
Remaining. Down A. Target dead. 1 enemy. 30 seconds left. 1 enemy remaining.